Hello everyone. So in the last class we had gone through a concept called as atom efficiency and we tried to understand as to which all reactions are more atom efficient, and then we came to a conclusion that either addition reactions, isomerization reactions, they are quite atom efficient reactions. There were also reactions where we tried to understand the atom efficiency were less. For example, substitution reaction, the atom efficiency was less. Elimination reaction, atom efficiency was less. Now, based on that, when we saw the formula, atom efficiency is equal to molecular weight of the desired product divided by molecular weight of all the substances formed into 100. So this is how you give the molecular formula of atom efficiency. Now let us solve some examples based on this formula. Let us pick up this reaction called as benzyl alcohol. When it reacts with chromium oxide in the presence of H2SO4, it is getting converted to benzaldehyde, chromium sulfate and 6 molecules of water. Now what we can observe here is we are trying to oxidize benzyl alcohol and then we are trying to convert it into respective aldehydic system. Now, towards the right hand system, benzaldehyde, it is converted in 3 moles, chromium sulfate which is 1 mole and 6 moles of water is the system that we can observe. Now we can see that if we calculate the molecular weight of benzaldehyde, it is 120 gram. Chromium sulfate 392 gram per mole and water being 18 gram per mole. Now we can observe that it is 3 moles. So 3 into 120 we are going to do and 6 into 18. So what is atom efficiency? Molecular weight of the desired product. What is my desired product? Desired product is benzaldehyde. How many moles I have got? 3 into 120 divided by molecular weight of all the substances formed. So 3 into 120 plus 392 plus 18. Now we also know that this chromium sulfate and water are byproducts. They are not my desired products, but somehow they have been formed. So they have to be considered in this formula because the formula says molecular weight of all the substances formed. So when we try to complete this mathematical equation, we see that 3 into 120 divided by 3 into 120 plus 392 plus 6 into 18 is 42% of the atom efficiency. This is when I am making use of chromium oxide and H2SO4. But let us try to just change this type of oxidation system like oxygen. Same reactive material, that is benzyl alcohol, reacts with oxygen in the presence of catalyst where it is going to convert it to benzaldehyde and water. Now let us look at the atom efficiency. What are my products that is formed? What is my desired product? 120, that is benzaldehyde. What is the another byproduct that is formed? Water, which is just formed in 1 mole. So 120 divided by 120 plus 18 is equal to 87 percentage. So when I consider these two or when I compare these two reactions, the conventional method where I am making use of chromium oxide gives me just 42% of the atom efficiency. That means I am just going to convert 42% of my total starting materials into the final product. Whereas when I just utilize oxygen, I can see that 87% of atom efficiency is observed. Hence, in comparison, this type of catalytic way of conversion of benzyl alcohol to benzaldehyde becomes more atom efficient. Now let us look at a simple example where methane reacts with oxygen to give me water and carbon dioxide. Now this is a different type of approach in terms of atom economy, not in terms of atom efficiency but rather in terms of atom economy. Now let us understand. Methane is 16, oxygen is 2 into 32 which is equal to 64, water is 2 into 18 36 and carbon dioxide is formed. Now here in this way we are trying to understand in some different way. Now let us take LHS and RHS. Total mass of the reactant atoms 16 plus 64, 80. Total mass of the desired product, it is 36. Now let us understand atom economy. Atom economy is something like desired product divided by total mass of the reactant atoms into 100. Atom economy speaks that total mass of the desired product divided by total mass of the reactant atoms into 100. What is my desired product total mass? 36 divided by 80 into 100. So 45% of my starting material is converted to final product. We are not considering any of the byproduct in this type of atom economy system. Rather than considering in terms of atom efficiency, here I am considering in terms of atom economy. I am going to consider in this particular reaction the reactant atoms and then just the desired product. So desired product divided by the total reactant atoms, V is going to into 100 is going to give me atom economy. Let us now again switch on to such type of atom economy system only. In the traditional method of chlorohydrin process, ethene reacted with chlorine plus water to give me 1-chloro 2-hydroxy ethane system plus HCl. This 1-chloro 2-hydroxy ethane system reacted with calcium hydroxide in the presence of HCl to give me oxirane plus calcium chloride plus water. What is an overall reaction now? Ethene 28, calcium hydroxide 74, chlorine 71. And then in the final product, oxirane 44, calcium chloride 111 and water 80. Now we can observe that target waste product is 111 plus 18, which is equal to 129. So what is my target waste product? 111 plus 18. Why HCl is not my target waste product? Because in the second step I am utilizing this HCl and hence that is not my target waste. Instead, calcium chloride and water, they too become my target waste. Now, how do I calculate my atom economy? Atom economy is nothing but I have to take what is my desired product. My desired product is oxirane divided by what are my starting materials. My starting materials can be said to be 28, 74, 71. This also can give me some amount of atom economy. Instead of that, in terms of atom efficiency, what I am trying to do here, though I have told in terms of atom economy, but atom efficiency is the formula that I am considering. So what is my desired product? 44 divided by total number of the products that have been formed. So 44 plus 111 plus 18, which is equal to 25% of the atom efficiency that we can observe over here. So in this particular system, we are considering atom efficiency only. My desired product is oxirane, which is 44 divided by 44 plus 111 plus 18, which is equal to 25% of atom efficiency. This is an example how we calculate an atom efficiency. Coming to a next concept in green chemistry called as selectivity. Selectivity is nothing but it is the discrimination showed by a reagent in competitive attack onto two or more substrates or on two or more positions in the same substrate. It is quantitatively expressed by the ratio of rate constant of the competing reactions or by the logarithms of these ratios. Now when I consider a particular reagent, how that reagent is going to attack onto a particular substrate, giving me different type of isomers, and how that reagent is going to give me different type of products in terms of the positioning of the attacking system onto the substrate. This is basic selectivity that we can understand. Hence it says that selectivity is the discrimination showed by the reagent in competitive attack on two or more substrates or two or more positions. If they are given two position, how that particular reagent is going to go and attack onto the position. Now let us consider this example. This example is nothing but I have got an alkene system. Now this alkene system, it says that it is propene, prop 1-ene system When I react it with water, here I'll be able to get two regioisomers. That is, once an OH will go and attack onto the first carbon atom to give me an OH on the first carbon. That is, it is going to give me on the CH3, then this is your first carbon. There the OH is being attacked. Otherwise, the OH can attack onto the second carbon atom where we can get two regioisomers. Now, if I speak in terms of the long chain system, methyl, then I have got 1, 2. Instead of this 1, 2, 3 system, that is prop 1 ene. Firstly, the OH might attack onto the second carbon atom and then I will be getting 2-hydroxypropane system, or the OH might attack onto the first carbon atom to give me 1-hydroxypropane system. Now in this way I will be able to synthesize two regioisomers. Here there is a selective discrimination of water attack. Either this will happen in terms of there is lot of steric hindrance over here. If I see for the second carbon atom, there is lot of steric hindrance, and when I look at the first carbon atom, there is very less steric hindrance. Hence I will be able to get two regio isomers. Let us consider the second example where I am trying to do a system called as butene system. Now to this butene system, I want to attack hydrogen. Now again there will be some type of discrimination showed by this hydrogen. Either it will attack in terms of a cis system or it is going to attack across this triple bond to give me a trans system. In turn, it is going to give me stereoisomers or it is going to give me diastereomers. So again here I can observe that there is a selective discrimination of hydrogen to attack either from the same position, that is from the below position, to give me a cis product, or it may be from the opposite direction across this triple bond to give me a trans product. Now, the next system that I can observe is I have got now a system like a ketone. Now, this ketone is nothing but ethyl methyl ketone. In this, now I want to reduce this carbonyl carbon by attack of hydrogen. Now, if I want to attack this hydrogen, this will be under hydrolytic condition. What is going to happen is OH can either attack in terms of above the plane, and then either the OH can attack from the below the plane. Hence, I am getting two types of enantiomeric systems or the stereoisomers. Hence, in this way, selectivity can be defined as discrimination by the reagent where there is a competitive attack on one or more positions. Now, based on this selectivity, we can now consider what is a reaction selectivity. It is amount of the desired product formed divided by amount of the product expected on the basis of reactant consumed into 100. Now, when I observe this first reaction, now if my expected product is just 2-hydroxy system, that means 50% of the product may not be that. So it may seem that I have to see amount of the product expected in the final yield practically when I am getting, if what is the desired product I am going to get, and then practically we need to calculate this reaction selectivity. This is how it has been said that how we quantitatively do it. We do not do all the systems theoretically. Instead, after doing the reaction, quantitatively it has been expressed by the ratio of rate constant of the competitive reactions or by the logarithms of these ratios. Hence, this formula goes something like this. Reactive selectivity is equal to, or reaction selectivity is equal to, amount of the desired product formed divided by amount of the product expected on the basis of reactant consumed into 100. Now on the basis of that itself, let us do this one reaction. TNT, that is trinitrotoluene system, when it reacts with K2Cr2O7 in the presence of H2SO4 and SO3. It is now first oxidized, that is CH3 gets oxidized to carboxylic group in the presence of sulfur trioxide H2SO4 and K2Cr2O7. The first step is oxidation. Next, when I have got to react this ion in the presence of HCl, loss of a carbon dioxide takes place. Why? Because there is a carboxylic group. In this way, I can lose a carbon dioxide. In the presence of ion and HCl, I can convert these nitro groups into NH2. When I react this with aqueous HCl in the presence of heat, NH2 is getting converted to fluoroglucinol. NH2 gets converted to an OH group, which is going to give me trihydroxybenzene. Now E is equal to 40, that is 40 kgs of solid waste per kg of the product is observed, and hence I can say that this particular reaction is not a highly selective reaction. Let us come back to again chlorohydrin process. We had just seen this chlorohydrin process in terms of atom economy. Now let us try to understand this in terms of selectivity also. Propene, when it reacts to chlorine and water, it is going to give me 1-chloro 2-hydroxy propane system plus HCl. This reacts with calcium hydroxide to give me oxirane system and calcium chloride plus water. This gave an atom economy of just 25%. This also means that Cl2 and water are not a highly selective reagents to attack onto the propene system to get me my final desired product. Instead, if I make use of the same system in catalytic oxidation with hydrogen peroxide, propene reacts with hydrogen peroxide in the presence of a catalyst to give me 76% of atom economy and just one byproduct. This also means that hydrogen peroxide is a highly selective reagent to attack onto the propene system. So this is how, when I compare these two reactions, the first reaction in which the reagents are chlorine and water, they are not selective, whereas the second reaction in which hydrogen peroxide is present, it's a highly selective reaction. The next example that I want to consider in terms of this selectivity is, if I make use of paramethoxy benzaldehyde reacts with acetone in the presence of palladium, magnesium oxide and hydrogen at 75 degrees for 75 minutes, I will be getting a raspberry ketone. Now this raspberry ketone is nothing but CH2 minus carbonyl carbon is going to attack, carbanion is going to attack onto the carbonyl carbon. What is happening is PD in the presence of NGO plus H2 is going to give me a carbanion generation, which is going to attack onto the carbonyl carbon to give me raspberry ketone. Now here I can observe that there is a 100% conversion with 99% selectivity, and hence what might be the waste that is formed, 0.01%. In this way, I can say that this particular reaction is a highly selective reaction and this reagent is a highly selective reagent. In that way, when I make use of cyclopentanone, 2 moles of cyclopentanone, and then in the same reagent, that is palladium and magnesium oxide plus hydrogen in the presence of 140 degrees and 8 hour, I can observe that again there is a formation of a carbanion on this position attack onto the carbonyl carbon, so that I am going to get a dimer. So 98% of conversion is observed here and 91% of selectivity is observed, and hence the waste product might be 0.10. So these two reactions, we can say that they are highly selective reaction. So in this way, the concept of selectivity is observed in the green chemical reaction. So we have now seen in terms of atom efficiency and the selectivity of green chemical reactions. Thank you.